I only make $1,200 a month on my Social Security, so my savings was draining at a rapid rate. And we have a view across the valley. I have never been to a nicer place in my life. I mean, I'm a patriot. I love my country, but on $1,200 a month, where am I going to live? If I was living in the United States, Dan, I would be one step above homeless. And here, I'm upper middle class, and I love it.
So this is Dan of Vagabond Awaken. Today, we're lucky to have Gino on the channel. Gino, where in the world are you sitting right now, and where are you from?
I am sitting in Valle de San Jose, Santander, Colombia. And I am originally from New Mexico in the United States.
Wow, that's great. So you're in Colombia. And
yes, sir.
What you're in a smaller town, so what's a town you're near?
The largest little town is still only 60,000. It's San Gil, and that's about 2 hours from Bucaramanga, which is the fifth largest city in Colombia.
Fair
so
enough.
We're out here in the country, living large.
Okay, good. And so how did you pick this place?
Well, that just kind of was happenstance. I married a Colombian lady. It will be 7 years tomorrow. Well, actually, we were living in Bucaramanga, and a country boy living in Bucaramanga is like a country boy living in Chicago. That doesn't fare very well. My wife saw me getting crazier by the day. I saw this place. I saw this little town when we went to a realtor's, and then now I have this beautiful after 5 years here in the country, we have this beautiful.
You married a Colombian in the
yes.
U.S. before you came to Colombia, or?
Yes, I set up my farm in my little farm in Tucumcari, New Mexico, population 2,000, and I was awfully lonely. I lived with 3 Great Dane dogs, and I wanted a girlfriend, so I got on and I went on farmers.com and the normal stuff, and finally ended up on LatinCupid.com, met Maria, and we communicated on WhatsApp for almost a year. And I went up in February to North Dakota to meet her, and then she came down to my little farm. And I don't know what, she put a spell on me. She drugged me. I don't know. But anyway, we ended up married, and it's been quite wonderful, actually.
Well, that's a great story. And so how long were you there together in New Mexico before you moved to Colombia together?
We first moved to Puerto Rico, because I'd always wanted to live in Puerto Rico. And I don't recommend Puerto Rico for anybody. So anyway, we lasted about 6 months there. And then we came back to the States, and I bought an RV, and we cruised around the Southwest for a while, and finally said, no, I only make $1,200 a month on my Social Security. So my savings was draining at a rapid rate. So, I mean, you can't beat it here. I mean, we live on under $1,000 a month. That was the initial reason. And now the weather, the climate, the people.
So you bought a place
yes.
there, right?
Yeah, but we were here 4 years before we did that. I saw quite a bit of Colombia before we decided to pull the trigger on this one.
Well, and so how long have you had the house?
We're going on about 8 or 9 months now.
What does it cost to buy a house there? And
we bought a 2-bedroom, 2-bath colonial style house on about a half of an hectare, which is almost an acre. And then we put a 2-bedroom addition on it with a huge bathroom, because as you probably know, in these countries, their bathrooms are little bitty. I mean, you get up off the toilet and hit your head on the wall in front of you. So we put a huge bathroom in. And so we have $113,000 in the whole thing. And now we have 5 bedrooms, 3 baths on an acre. The initial cost was about $80,000. And we have a view across the valley. I have never been to a nicer place in my life.
What do you pay for, like gas, electricity, internet? What are your expenses?
Bought a Starlink because they have a special offer here in Colombia. You can buy the Starlink unit for $200, and then it costs you about $35 a month. Have just incredible speed, and so that's about $35. And then the rest of it, we rarely break $80 a month, including electricity, gas, and water. So we have natural gas that's like $12 a month. We have water, which is like $17 a month. And the most expensive is electricity, and it's usually $35, $40 a month. It just depends. And then on top of that, we usually don't ever spend over $200 a month for groceries. And we have a lot of people come through this house. It's not just Maria and myself. I mean, the family's here, friends come by. I mean, we're always feeding 2 or 3 extra extra plates at the table. We were in the States and we bought these 2 little bags of groceries and it was $100.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, really? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're doing it in the States these days, because even here, they've always had inflation here, and it goes up, probably 5-6% every year. So relative to the States, it's just,
Wow, $200 a month on groceries. That's a great deal, even if it was just the two of you, but sounds like you're feeding friends and stuff too. So how much a month do you spend on restaurants for the two of you?
zero. We don't go out. I mean, we used to try to go out, but the food in the rural areas there's a couple of restaurants that are okay, but my wife is such a good cook. It's like an exercise in futility trying to find a restaurant that cooks better than she does. So we don't go out. Our anniversary is tomorrow, and I invited her out for lunch, and we can't figure out where we want to go.
How about your smartphone? What does that cost per month?
It costs me $8 a month. Unlimited calls, unlimited text. What I do is I use a service called Ring Central, and it's a voice over IP, and that's how I get all the calls in from the United States for free. And I can call the United States. Well, it's not for free. It costs $45 a month, but it's a really good service, and it has a service much like Zoom. You can do video conferencing. You can record the video calls.
What's your all-in a month then? Like, do you have an idea what your average month costs?
Well, people aren't going to believe it. People aren't going to believe, because we own our own house, so it's $150, 200. We spend, including I have a car, and so the whole thing costs about $500 a month. On a month that we do a lot of stuff, $650.
Wow, that's amazing.
But that's good. We own our own house. But even if we didn't own our own house, we would never break $900. And people don't believe me, because what's happening in like the larger cities like Medellin and Bogota, people go there, expats go there, and somebody will offer them rent of $2,000 a month, and they think that's just awesome. So they pay it, and it actually drives the prices up in those places to almost American prices, just because they're idiots. They could have got the same house for probably $400 a month if they would have paid attention, but they don't. And so it's really hard on the local people.
Medellin is what they call the infinite spring or something. In other words, it's cool all year round because it's at a high elevation, even though it's near the equator relative to the United States, of course. Are you at an elevation, and that's why your electricity is so reasonable?
Yeah, we don't have heat and we don't have cooling. We have fans, and we use the fans a lot. It's usually around 72 degrees here.
Oh, wow. And
it never gets colder than 62. At 85, you think you're in Phoenix, but we're at 4,018 feet where we are. The temperature is just awesome, and the wind doesn't blow. There are no bugs to speak of. We leave our doors open all year round.
People our age have known about Colombia for a long time. There was a time when Colombia, had Pablo Escobar, and people had to worry about crime. In the part of Colombia you're in today's world, do you feel safe?
I have been in this country off and on for 7 years, and I have never been afraid, ever. But that all boils down to, you need to pay attention to where you go. Up against the Venezuelan border, where there's a lot of crime. And northeast Colombia, there are still guerrillas. And over on the Pacific coast, people think that that the drug trade died with Pablo Escobar. No, that's not true. They just got new bosses. And so they duke it out over on the Pacific coast. And so there are areas in Colombia that you couldn't drag me to. So yeah, out here in the country, the only thing that we've had happen in this little town in the last 6 years is a drunk old guy patted a gay guy on the butt, and they got into an altercation, but they were drinking, and that's out of 7 years, and that's the only thing. I don't even hear of anybody getting robbed. They just turned Colombia into a number 4 alert. A red alert for travel. I don't get it. If you're dumb and go to the places where they're dealing drugs or the prostitution and all of that's going on, yeah, it's really dangerous. But if you're out here in the country, it's quite safe.
That's great. So do you have health insurance for the hospital, that kind of thing?
I do. I do. I have this thing called 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝐻, but 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝐻 is pretty good. Cost me about $40 a month. All of my heart meds. I have a heart condition and blood pressure stuff. In the United States, I don't remember what my copay was, but here my copay is $4. I can go buy them without the insurance for a month for all of my meds for under $30. But yeah, I have 𝗬𝗓𝗍𝐻. And if I go to I went to the hospital a couple of times, and I mean, cost you like $3-4. And the care is really good also.
So,
I mean, if I was going to have a quadruple bypass or something, I'd probably go back to the States.
So do you keep your Medicare for that?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, I keep residency in the United States.
Okay. So you have your Medicare. Do you go with like Part A, Part B? Like, what do you do about that?
I got the whole enchilada. I got Medicare, Medicaid. I basically am a United States resident, and we stay 6 months here, 6 months there.
Okay.
Because we have to. She can't be out of the country. She's got a green card, and she can't be out of the country more than 6 months. And I can't be out of this one more than 6 months. So they've kind of got us. And probably at some juncture, Dan, we'll have to decide to not have a foot in both countries and just pick one. And I'm pretty sure it'll be this one. I don't know. I mean, I'm a patriot. I love my country, but on $1,200 a month, where am I going to live?
And so do you have a retirement visa, or do you have like a marriage visa? And if you have,
I have a Colombian marriage visa.
Okay,
which makes life a lot easier, because they're a lot easier to get. They're a lot easier to get than a retirement visa.
We should tell people, by the way, that you have a channel. We'll get to that in a minute, but that's why you know a lot of this stuff, because people ask questions, right? Just say the name of your channel for now. What is it?
It's Gino Perez Adventures.
Okay, we'll put a link below and we'll talk about it more in a minute. But if you had to get a retirement visa, is that tough to do? What does it cost?
No, it's not tough to do, but I would recommend get an attorney because things change like the wind changes around here. It just depends on which way the flag's blowing. It'll cost you around $600-700 conservatively. You could get it cheaper. I mean, the actual paperwork and all that is only about $300-350. I did it twice without an attorney and didn't get my visa, and they just stay up on it, and they know the ins and outs and the do's and don'ts. And I always recommend. I've got 3 or 4 attorneys that I recommend to people, and they can pick which one they like.
That's great.
And they're all good. And some of them speak English and some of them don't.
And so what's the minimum income you have to get a retirement visa?
Well, you have to have 3 times the national minimum wage, which turns out, depending on where the peso is today, are around $950 to $1,000. And so if you're only making $900, you need to really be aware. I had an older guy who was 80 some years old, sold all his stuff and just came down here and had all his paperwork and everything ready. But the peso was in such a position when he went to file his papers, he was $56 short of qualifying and had to leave the country. I mean, that was horrible. So that's why I tell him, before you do anything, call this attorney, pay her some money, and get the list from her of what you need and how much you need and what you need to pay and XYZ. And that way it's money well spent. You're not going to sell all your stuff, come down here and not be able to get your visa. So
if you move down there and you're able to get your visa because you make the $1,000 or whatever it is, 3 times minimum wage, and you want to buy a property, can you put the property in your name, or do you have to find some citizen?
Yes, of course. Yeah, they have. Yeah, I mean, this property is in my name.
Okay, good.
And what you have to realize, we paid our land tax $27 for the year.
Tell us the name of your channel and tell us what you like to talk about on there. I'll put a link below. But
Gino, Geno, Perez, Perez, my name, Adventures, and I talk about, and I do tours of helping people our age come down to Colombia and live to tell about it. I pick them up at the airport.
This ebook shares the 3 big mistakes that expats make when they retire overseas. To get a free copy, either scan this QR code with your smartphone or click the second link in the notes below this YouTube video.
I pick them up at the airport, and so they're not just scared to death. and bring them to a hotel near me, and then we take them around and just depending on the level of what they want to do, to take care of them. Because back in the 80s, I went to Belize on a business venture, and at 7 o'clock in the evening, I was standing on the roadside at the airport with a bag in each hand, and I have never been more scared in my entire life. And so I try to keep that feeling. I try to keep that feeling away from my clients, because it's much better if you got somebody to back you up and talks the language and knows where to go and stay out of the ugly places. And it's like bringing my uncle, I would, it's like taking care of your uncle. That's what we do. So I talk mostly about how nice it is. And I talk about the dangers too, but some of these guys I have guys call me, Dan, that want to go pick up, that are talking to some girl and they're sending them money in Medellin, and they're going to want to go down and hang out with them. And it's just a recipe for disaster. If you go to the red light district in Medellin and go home at 2 o'clock in the morning with 2 Venezuelan hookers, the odds of you seeing daylight tomorrow are pretty slim. But these guys just don't get it. And I don't cater to them very much. I like to get the guys over 60 that don't need to have to go do that. They just want a place to chill and retire in their retirement and live. If I was living in the United States, Dan, I would be one step above homeless. And here, I'm upper middle class, and I love it.
Wow. What a great way to end this interview. Gino, it's been a joy. I'll put a link to your channel below this video. People can click that and go over there, or they can go over to Gino Perez Adventures.
Yeah, that's correct. Gino Perez Adventures.
Okay.
And that's Geno, not Gino. It's Geno.
Gino, it's been a joy chatting with you. I like your no-nonsense approach. I hope you come back on the channel soon. Give us updates.
I'd love to, Dan. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You can go watch my over 140 videos of people who've retired overseas all over the world, right over here.